Hello everyone, Dan from Pale Wizard Records here. How are we all doing? I'm recovering from the lurgy at the moment, so I apologise if I sound a bit bunged up. Please let me introduce you to the band Hail Darkness. And spoiler alert, there's something seriously wrong with this band. I'm going to read a description of the band, which I found in a feature posted by the Sleeping Shaman website. And they're a really great music-based website that I know very well. And this was posted back in August of this year. Hail Darkness is a female-fronted occult rock trio from the US whose sound can be described as the bastard daughter of doom and psychedelia. Founding member Joshua on the bass grew up in Phoenix, where the first songs were recorded and produced around mid-2020, which resulted in the birth of Hail Darkness, along with main composer Jez on guitar and Emmett, also the band's designer, on drums. Hail Darkness moved to Jez's home turf of South Carolina in the days of the pandemic, setting up the home studio to begin an extensive 3-year recording session, recording up to 4 hours of material. Initially, the goal was to create the vintage sound of their idols, T-Rex, Jefferson Airplane, blah 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 blah, and mix with the sounds of their more modern favourites like Cathedral and Electric Wizard. So for obviously people who don't know, not in this scene, these are a lot of the kind of the staple bands of the kind of doom, stoner, psychedelia, occult rock genre. In the studio, Hail Darkness is accompanied by a host of multi-instrumentalist friends, also referred to as the Hail Darkness Coven, who help out with various instruments to create the expansive, exotic, psychedelic sound of Hail Darkness. After the release of 5 singles in digital format, the debut album Death Divine will be self-released on their own label Vatican Records on August the 15th, and the album contains 10 songs incorporating aspects of occult 70s rock, psychedelia, etc. So far so good. So the album's available at Diggers Factory. Let's have a look at that. So Diggers Factory website, Hail Darkness, Death Divine, nice looking record there, nice looking artwork. It says it's sold out here. Everything looks as you'd expect it. Let's go have a look at their Bandcamp page. For those who don't know, Bandcamp is a website which allows artists to sell their music digitally and physically online. It's a really good setup. Bandcamp do take a cut, quite a hefty cut of the money, but you know, for unsigned bands, it's a really good resource. So here we have the Hail Darkness Bandcamp page. This is their music page, which looks fairly comprehensive actually. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 11 separate releases there. And again, that's the album we were just talking about, Death Divine. You can buy it now for €10, or you can buy the whole discography for just under €30. The limited vinyl again is sold out. Let's see if they've got any merch. Okay, so they got a few t-shirts and a patch, which all look to be available still. So why don't we actually read some reviews of this album that came out? So we'll start with the Sleeping Shaman. Again, like I said, really good website. So we'll kind of skip to the end, just see what they thought of the album. So, as debut albums go, this is one hell of an entrance into a growing field of doom and occult-based sounds that are currently available, and I'm certain that this will end up on many people's album of the year lists. Let's see what Ever Metal said about this release. Hail Darkness are a great band. Dark Joanne now considers himself their acolyte. That's the person who wrote this review. If you dig early Coven and doom, consider Hail Darkness. I guarantee you won't be disappointed with what you hear. So again, another glowing review there. What should we look at now? There's loads of these reviews, by the way, tons of them. avenoctum.com, and again, another respected music website, especially for kind of heavy, metal-y kind of atmospheric music. So again, let's... He said, nothing in the sound of Hail Darkness is new, but what is new is the youth and energy they bring to the sound. They could hear lots of classic influences, and they gave it 8.5 out of 10. So another great review. We'll have a listen to their music now on YouTube. That's if YouTube doesn't censor this bit. Okay, well, musically, it's very psych, isn't it? It's very, occult is probably the right word. It's got that kind of Age of Aquarius feel, kind of the hippie movement, and those lo-fi, kind of distant sounding drums, fuzzy guitars, the vocals, female vocals, wistful and kind of, have that kind of real psych 70s vibe going on. The artwork works really well with the music, pretty cool colours and those kind of overlays with the bubbles and all that kind of weird smoke, and the imagery works well with the music, doesn't it? So for all intents and purposes, this band seemed to be doing everything right. They've got good story, the biography, the music that people seem to dig. In fact, many of those websites I looked at were suggesting this is album of the year material. Good promo images of the band, suitable artwork, suitable looking vintage style videos. Excellent job. Except there's a problem here. It's all fake. Those band members don't exist. Everything has been AI generated. The music, the performance, the people, the images, the artwork, the videos, everything. So on September the 7th, the band posted a lengthy piece on their Substack. So let's have a read of that together, and I'll chime in every time I have something to add. So this is titled, What is Real? Nothing is Real. The Hail Darkness Experiment. Where to start? Because the experiment we put into place we knew would not only make us feel uncomfortable, but probably also a whole lot, if not all, the listeners who were charmed by Hail Darkness. That reads a bit weird, but never mind. To the people who felt misled, we do sincerely apologise. Well, you need to tell us what you've done first before you apologise, surely. But in order to test our experiment, we needed to make several decisions that would imply some deceptive moves. We tried to minimise these as much as possible, and they will be our little crosses to bear in this experiment. They like that word experiment, don't they? Why this experiment? There are several reasons this experiment was carried out. There have been enough musical projects in the past that have had their own stories when it comes to some sort of hidden hand behind the face of a band. Malcolm McLaren with the Sex Pistols, Damon Albarn with Gorillaz, and even to some extent the makeup hiding the real faces of Kiss or Sleep Token's Unknown Identity, or the unforgettable drama behind Milli Vanilli. There have been legions of external producers and session musicians in the history of the music industry who have contributed to songs of which the listener has no idea that they were part of. Listening to songs they thought were written and recorded by the band pictured on the album sleeve, and now we are facing a new tool on the block called AI. We wanted to dive into this new technological tool to understand and discover, even in these very early stages, what is capable of creating, and we were, quite frankly, shocked about how good the result was. I get really annoyed by grammatical errors or spelling errors, especially when something's supposed to sound serious like this. We also wanted to push the message that our society is drifting towards an existence of two realities, our physical reality and a digital online reality, posing the following questions. When will these two worlds merge? Or if the online reality one day will become the dominating reality? So Hail Darkness became our AI conceptual art project. I mean, this is reading a bit like a kind of sixth form A-level art project so far, isn't it? Would it be possible to pull off creating an AI band and have them infiltrate into the physical reality? Could we create songs and artwork which could touch the soul of the listener and also ours as creators? Could we create something which could compete with the majority of underground bands? So they're wording this like this is all planned. This was some kind of heist. Now, if that's the case, I expect to see some kind of feature-length documentary to come along with this, or something. Not just a post on Substack, because that's not a very scientific way to do an experiment. I would suggest the experiment would set up into a short and mid-term Mid and long-term goal. The short being to create the band, a sound, the members, their characters, and a creative vision that would touch the listener. Basically what any beginning band would do. The mid-term goal was to release a physical album, limited and self-released. This, we would hope, would become a cult collector's item, either for it being a great album or for the backlash it would get for being exposed as an AI project, or maybe both. The long term, and this was a goal which we were certain would only get reached if the listener at one point would become aware of the true goal of the project and would still embrace the experiment for what it was, a well-crafted concept made with as much love as musicians in a band trying to please the listener with good music. Bullshit. This was not done with as much love. Okay? You can cut that crap right now. I'm sorry. Not a chance. Right? Doing something on AI is no way comparable to getting in a room with your friends or owning your craft, jamming and working on riffs and ideas. And so I'm sorry, I have to call out bullshit on that bit. A plan for creating 5 albums, if possible, through an existing label, and if the technology allowed, to have AI-generated live streaming gigs in the future and basically become an established AI band. Oh, piss off. Now it's starting to sound like bollocks. The concept of the Gorillaz project, their characters, the holographic shows, inspired us to develop this project in the form it turned out. I don't see the connection there. The ethical and moral part of the experiment. Probably the most troubling part of the experiment, where the ethical and moral choices to be made. Badly worded. Why would anyone even want to make AI music? To profit from it, I guess. Because you're lazy. Because you don't have any true talent. When you know how to make music, being a musician and having been part of the music industry, being confronted with a new groundbreaking technological tool that opens portals into infinite creative possibilities, the long sentence, it's hard not to dive into what these mysteries have to offer. And of course, AI created music has nothing to do with the physical bloody hell, finish the sentence, mate. Physical composing of music, comma, is a whole different ballgame, comma, and it was not part of the experiment to prove the point that the human craft of creating music can be, in any form, be related to generating artificially made music. Jesus, you should have used AI to write this. It would have done a better job. These new tools are here, if we want them or not. They will shape our world. Just as plugins, DAW software, that stands for Digital Audio Workstation, for those not aware, like Pro Tools, things you use on a PC or a Mac to record, have shaped composing and recording music over the past decades. Yes, it's scary because it could mean we could even become redundant in the creative processes of human expression. Well, yeah, thanks to people like you. It's strange to admit that the process actually became rather emotional. We put a lot of love, dedication, time and energy into this band, and the investment of time and energy gave a connection to what was created. The band characters were fleshed out, their personality and looks carved out as if being characters for a long-running Netflix series. Oh, give me a break. The more we worked on the project, the more they became real. A weird thing to imagine, but they became our online team, and we can imagine them existing in a future digital reality one day. We discuss the film Her with Joaquin Phoenix often because it's definitely a scenario that will surely become reality one day. Definitely and surely in the same sentence. We made sure to have some clear hints that this was AI, the AI in Hail Darkness, and the term Anno Inferni, AI abbreviated, the year of hell in Latin, meant as a warning to a matrix world we could be slipping into. For us, these developments should be well monitored, as they can shift us towards a frightening, dystopian and inhuman society. I mean, this is reading like I said, like a sixth form art project. Oh, okay, this is interesting. For the people who have no clue how AI generated music works, in a nutshell, we used a software tool called Udio. It's one of the better known AI music generating tools. In this piece of software, you write what is called a prompt, a short description of what kind of song you want. The trick is to fine-tune and develop your prompt to the exact sound you're looking for. This can be quite a challenge. Oh yeah, I bet that's really challenging, that, writing a prompt. Because 80 to 90% produced for you is absolute garbage, which should still give us some hope for the future. Us. I don't count you in the us. I'm sorry. You are the problem. In this software, you can choose for custom lyrics or auto-generated or instrumental for none. Mate, just get someone to proofread these things, alright? We decided on using custom lyrics for 90% of the songs because the auto-generated option is pretty childish, especially when straying off on the mainstream path. I'll tell you what's pretty childish is not bothering to write your own music and using a computer to do it for you, and then passing it off as your own, and then digging yourself into a hole where you have to come clean in a way that makes it look like this is all intentional all along. The software then generates two 30-second starting points of a new song. This is where we call the curating process starts. In some cases, it could take up to 50 generations to come up with a 3.5-minute song. Oh, poor you. Oh, what a load of work. With the song composed, we would then download it in 4 stems: drums, bass, vocals and others, and then proceed to edit the composition, add some instrumentation, add effects, and then mix and master in our DAW. So for those not aware, what stems are like once you've got a mix of a song, so once you've done the editing and the mixing, you've added all the EQ and compression, all the things you want. What is quite handy for some bands is to get stems of that mix. So you're left with a stereo mix, aren't you, left and right? But you can get stems, which means you can separate the mixed drums. So if you imagine if we're recording drums in here, say, you might have 20 mics on the drum kit. So your kick and your snare and your toms and your cymbals and your room mics and all that kind of stuff. Once you've mixed those drums, you're left with a stereo pair, left and right. That's it. So you have no individual control over the individual drums at that point. You've already done that. But you can give someone the stems. So it was the final drum sound that went into that mix. So stems are quite useful for bands who want to get their music on TV and stuff like that, because you can send someone the guitars, the drums. They might not want to use the vocals if they're kind of syncing your music to an advert or a TV show or something like that. Stems are also good if you want someone to remix your song, so they might want to take bits of your guitar or bits of your drums or bits of your bass and your vocals or whatever is in your band. So that's what stems are. It's basically separated out the different instrumentation, but they are the kind of the final mix of what the actual song that you've got, if that makes sense. So to be fair to them, they are right. There is an element of curating that's going on. So rather than just taking what the AI has given them, they've taken the stems from the AI and they're mixing them to a point that they're happy with it, to fine-tune it, to make it sound like it could pass off as a band in this genre where, like I said earlier, the drums have to have that kind of muted, kind of distant sound, and the vocals have to be whimsical and airy and that kind of thing. So as musicians, there are many creative similarities as to composing songs in the physical world. That's a bit of a stretch. Obviously, the main creative process is done by AI, but as mentioned, the curating creative part was extremely interesting, fun and challenging, but mostly frustrating. For the images of the band, we use Midjourney, and for the album covers. For character style consistency, we needed to fine-tune the band members, and this was incredibly hard to achieve. They used Photoshop. For the video, they used some software called Runway and Luma Dream Machine. So the With Horns of a Beast video, that's the one we watched. That's completely AI generated. Not as one clip, but all separate videos. And the forest storyline, the band members, the animation, the 70s effects were later added using Adobe After Effects and edited in Premiere. Basically, it would be the same as writing a script scenario for a film production company, and they would piece the parts of the creative demands together. We we creative a creative concept. Guys, proofread your shit. Worked on the concept, storyline, curated the video, edited, made post-production additions, colour graded, and then rendered the final video composition. It's not possible at this moment to have the software create a whole finished video clip. Oh, bully for you. Like a musician, in order to make a result that sounds and looks good, skill and taste is still required. It requires a lot of work, knowledge of music and design, and the different software. This is really annoying me, because the way they're talking, they're almost kind of like kissing their own ass at the same time, as well as admitting to being useless. So, why the niche of occult doom rock? We do love this genre, and we don't want to disrespect the artistry delivered by bands. If anything, Hail Darkness is an AI tribute, a homage to an amazing genre and musical period in history. It's as much Sabbath worship as any other bands who worship the riff. Piss off. Stop comparing yourself to real bands, alright? We wanted to see how far we could go with creating and emulating a vintage, organic, and somewhat sloppy recording through this software. In contrast to bands who nowadays want to sound extremely sterile, over-polished and soulless with the overuse of technology, if anything, Hail Darkness sounds like the most vintage any 21st century recording has probably sounded. The artificial intelligence is the occult tool behind this whole experiment. In addition to using occult imagery, the themes and lyrics, this is truly an occult rock project. Unfortunately, we also found that this niche genre had become quite oversaturated with what we considered clone-sounding bands, rehashed and uninspired copies of Black Sabbath. We cannot judge and are not judging the passion or love each individual puts into their craft, but there was a lack of originality streaming through the genre. We wanted to prove this point in a painful way. I agree. I do agree with that. The genre is massively diluted now, oversubscribed, and there is a ton of shit coming out which just sounds the same. You know, it's kind of like Lars Ulrich would say, it's stark, man. It's fucking stark.
What I'm hearing is, choose my words carefully here. It's pretty straightforward. You know, the guitar shit, it's, you know, it's a little stock.
It's like the same old Sabbathy, Iommi riffs. But there's some amazing stuff coming out as well. You know, really cutting edge, pushing the boundaries. But I'll give them their due on that. They do have a point there. We also wanted to open the discussion about what art is and what music really is. Yeah, that kind of thing really pisses me off, because I went to art school, and one of the things that used to drive me mad was some of the crap that people used to try and pass off for their work. You know, I'd spend ages doing some kind of really intricate painting, and then someone would literally put a bloody tampon on a canvas. That's it. And that would be their end of year project, and the tutors and the lecturers are like, oh, this really speaks to the female plight in society, or some shite like that. And this is reading very much like those type of people that used to really wind me up, and it put me off art, actually. I mean, I ended up getting thrown out of art college, but that's a different story. So yeah, they're just trying to justify themselves and trying to make out that this is an experiment and blah 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 blah. If this bit here, if you're reading this and you feel angry and deceived, you are right to feel this. We hope that our explanation will comfort those feelings, and in time realise it was not done purposely to hurt or deceive anyone. Thing is, you've sold records and t-shirts to people, and digital albums, and it's still there. People can still purchase this stuff, and it's not you, is it? So I don't know if I believe this. I don't know. We hope this makes our journey clearer, and given some insight into the experiment and our motivation to create Hail Darkness. We have become fond of the band, the music, and its overall vibe. Strangely enough, we do see it as an independent entity. I can't see how you can see it as that. You're leeching off the back of other people, aren't you? That's how AI works. It basically copies other people. So anyway, I'm not going to read the whole of that Substack because it's starting to piss me off. It's really poorly written. So there it is. Do I buy into the whole experiment claims, or is this just someone who knew they were going to get caught out and wanted to post something to save face? I'm not sure. I mean, do those records actually exist? I know they claim to be sold out on the websites there, but I haven't actually seen a real copy in someone's hands. Usually you'd find pictures on Instagram of vinyl collectors with their copies. If anyone watching this has a copy, please do let me know. And to be totally fair, there is some truth to their claims about the genre. Occult, doom, psychedelic, stoner rock. It has become a bit of a diluted place within heavy music. I'm actually in a band that tends to get lumped into some of these genres on occasion, so yes, this whole situation does feel a little bit personal for me. The idea that not only can AI replicate what we do, but to do it to an extent where it's getting possible album of the year mentions amongst some online journalists that I admire and respect, that's quite uncomfortable to imagine, isn't it? Additionally, who owns this music? Is it the person giving the prompts to AI to create the music? Do they own it? Or is it the software developers who created the AI? I mean, who owns the actual intellectual property of those songs? It stands to reason that as this is an AI tool, and the tool is using the work of other original artists in order to learn their music, shouldn't the copyright go to them? But then how do you prove that? In a way, we should be a little bit thankful for this, for bringing, the subject to light, because this is clearly just the tip of the iceberg. There will come a point where it's impossible to know if something is real or AI. I can guarantee you that some artists and bands have already been using this for some time. It might be them performing the songs, but they would have had the songs written by AI. It'd be very easy for someone to create an entire album's worth of material using AI and then simply come into a studio like this, or a home studio, and re-record it with real instruments and vocals. I mean, how would you know then? You wouldn't. And clearly what this band have done is extreme, with everything being done with AI. But like I said, I can guarantee there will be bands using AI for certain aspects of their output. And the most alarming use of it clearly being the creation and or the writing of the music itself. And the thing that's going to start ringing alarm bells is when you hear something by someone that you're already familiar with, and you think, blimey, that song's vastly different to their previous output. What's happened? Have they got 100 times better at writing riffs and chords and song structures in the 3 months since their last EP? Wow. And this is the problem. We now live in a time where the element of doubt is going to be in your mind every time you hear something you like. And if that element of doubt is not in your mind, it damn well should be. Just like every single thing that's happened in the last 25 years in music, this devalues the music. It devalues the artists. It devalues the art. It devalues the artists and illustrators who make the album covers. It devalues the filmmakers who film the videos. Things like Napster, MP3s, iTunes, Spotify, Auto-Tune, Melodyne, backing tracks, lip syncing, ChatGPT, and AI. Every single innovation just sucks more and more of the soul out of the one thing in life that for me is inquantifiable. Music has been the one thing in my life which allows me to fully escape. You can't really quantify the reasons why some music makes you feel the way it does. It speaks to you on a different plane of understanding. It means a million different things to a million different people. I mean, music can take you back to monumental moments in your life, milestones of your youth, the greatest highs and the deepest lows. Isn't it wonderful how one person or one band can make a series of sounds or words that can touch you? And this thing called AI, it takes all of those vast collections of music history, those fantastic breakthroughs by artists, It analyses the words, the melodies, the structures, the algorithms, the sounds, and it uses those to give you a cheap, worthless, digital, binary, plastic facsimile of the truth. It gives you precisely the opposite of art. It doesn't bring vitality to your imagination or your heart. AI is the death of music. It's certainly the death of creativity. AI is death. Now, I'm not a particularly spiritual person, but I will say that music has done something to me on a level that I can't comprehend. And it's only ever been music that has given me those transcendental moments where my very spirit feels elevated, where I feel that I'm a little bit closer to the truth of the universe. But I'm terrified by AI and all its implications. I mean, what can be done about it? I don't think much can be done about it at all. I don't know what else to say, really. Am I being overly dramatic? I mean, for all I know, there's thousands of people out there who don't care if something is real or AI. Some people just want content, you know, whether it be real or fake. I mean, to those people, sadly, I don't think I'll ever agree with them. I guess we all have different expectations and ethics in life. Was Hail Darkness a fantastic experiment? Should they be applauded for this project? Or have they contributed to the work of Satan himself and brought us all closer to the fiery depths of digital hell? Please let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like what we do on here, please consider subscribing to the channel. And my name's Dan. Thank you for watching.